The more time I've spent in this community and exploring our backyard, the more I realized there is so much more to the story in this place that I call home.
Crested Butte, Colorado, located at about 9,000 feet with the beautiful Elk Mountains 14,000 feet or better in the background.
My name is Whitney Gilliam, and I am a splitboarder here in Crested Butte, Colorado. My husband and I live in an old cabin on Main Street, Elk Avenue. Used to be the drugstore, and I work at OB Joyful Church as the young adults pastor and for Irwin Guides as an Airy Avalanche instructor. My husband Will has generational history here, and that's led us to exploring the history of this place and its people. There is a book called The Gunnison Country, which is a complete history of this area. And while we were reading it one day, we noticed this overlap where a lot of the places that we splitboard today are old mining towns. So I made a plan to go back and explore these areas by splitboarding through them with a new perspective. I wanted to dig into the history of these places so that I could build a deeper connection and understand the legacy that came before us.
Crested Butte started off as a supply town for the great silver camps which opened up nearby. In fact, it was known as the gateway to the silver camps. Gothic, Colorado, about 9,500 feet, located at the junction of Copper Creek and the East River, one of the greatest mining towns in Gunnison Country history. 3 miles up Copper Creek was the famous Sylvanite mine, one of the top 3 silver mines in Colorado history. It was only open about 6 or 7 months out of the year because of the heavy snow. It turned out about $2 million worth of silver. By today's standards, that would be worth about $10 million. Gothic eventually got to be about 2,000 people with 2 hotels, one 3 stories high, a smelter, and the world-famous Rocky Mountain Biological Laboratory. And towering above Gothic is a 12,500 foot high mountain, Gothic Peak.
The older I get, the more I want to lead a life of intention. And that can come in many forms. I want to be intentional about where I live and who I spend my time with. And I want to be intentional with the way that I recreate and who I recreate with. Spending time with the people of this community is really purposeful to me. And whether that's grabbing a cup of coffee or doing a full day of backcountry touring, it is really important to me to build these relationships in my community.
Elkton, Colorado, and the Painter Boy Mine. Located about 7 miles up Washington Gulch, near the head of the gulch. The peak population of Elkton was 200, and they had the McKay House, and one of the newspaper accounts said 52 people stayed in the McKay House. So it was a going Jesse with great minds, 2 boarding houses, and a 2-story high store. Elkton became a great silver camp, highlighted by the Painter Boy Mine and the Silver Jewel Mine. And all of that ore was taken down by burros on the backs of burros, 200 pounds per burro, all the way into Crested Butte, where it hit the railroad and was shipped out.
While the miners might not be here anymore, they left a legacy of physical things like roads that I use for access, but they also left a legacy of exploration. They were the first people to really explore these high peaks and spend time in these remote and not hospitable places. Even now, not many people recreate in these areas, especially in the winter. And to think that the miners were out here in the harsh weather without good gear like Gore-Tex or a splitboard or skis is hard to wrap my mind around.
Pittsburgh, Colorado, and the Augusta Mine, located up the Slate River about 7 miles north of Crested Butte. In the early days, this was a great silver mining town highlighted by the Augusta Mine. Pittsburgh had 100 people at its peak, but the big thing about Pittsburgh was the Augusta Mine, located 1,500 feet above the town. There were 2 great trams that ran from the Augusta Mine all the way down to Pittsburgh, both taken out by avalanches in 1886 and 1908. The Augusta Mine produced about $1 million worth of silver, so by today's prices, it turned out about $3.4 million worth of silver.
I have been splitboarding for about 10 years and have been in Crested Butte for about 8. I moved here to explore the mountains more through splitboarding and got connected with the church here. I had never thought in a million years that I would be doing what I'm doing there as a young adults pastor or working at a church at all. But I love what I do, and it still allows me to recreate and splitboard and explore this backyard that I love.
Irwin, Colorado, and the Forest Queen Mine, located at 10,033 feet, right where Coal Creek and Anthracite Creek head, and in the shadows of Kebler Pass, about 10 miles to the west of Crested Butte. It opened up in 1879 as the greatest silver camp in the Gunnison country. 4,000 people, 23 dance halls, 7 saloons. In 1880, the former President of the United States, U.S. Grant, came right through town. It was a very unique town. Some of the biggest investors in the world came, hopefully to invest. Baron Rothschild, John D. Rockefeller, Pierre DuPont. The seams, the veins of ore were only knife blade thick, and that was it for Irwin. Did not have the high-grade ore. Irwin died with the silver panic of 1893. The great silver mines in the Gunnison country pretty much closed with the silver panic of 1893 when the price of silver fell to 58 cents an ounce. That was it, the mining era was over. But the skiing era had just started.
While riding in and around these old mining towns, it was surreal to think of all the miners that stood here long before me and the impact they had on the landscape. It makes me think about what impact I'm having on this place and hope that through the work I do, whether it's building community through the church or teaching avalanche safety courses, that I can leave a lasting impact on this place that I call home.
The Pioneer Ski Area, located 3 miles up Cement Creek and about 8 miles from Crested Butte, opened in the winter of 1939 and 40. A bunch of local Gunnisonites wanted to ski, and they were the ones who started Pioneer. They ran a chairlift up to the top, about a 1,600-foot vertical, and that created the first chairlift in Colorado history. Pioneer Ski Area equipment and lift was taken from the Blistered Horn Mine located near Cottonwood Pass and Tin Cup. So all of the wooden towers were taken, the cables were taken, the chairs were taken and made into ski chairs. The name of the chairlift was called the Comet. The runs were the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, and Milky Way. And a lot of collegiate ski races were held at Pioneer. They even had a ski jump for 1 year in 1946. It was closed during World War II. With the equipment that you had and no preparation of the snow, it was very difficult to ski, but it cost you 75 cents a day to ski at Pioneer, and they'd run a bus up from Crested Butte to ski there. The last year, winter 1950-51. Age of mining is over. The age of snow now begins.
While traveling to and exploring new countries or places to ride is an incredible experience, it can't be compared to exploring your own backyard. There is something very special about being able to look out your windows and see the lines you've left on the landscape. I'm sure the miners had the same sense of accomplishment when they looked back at the roads that they built.
Crested Butte ski area began during the winter of 1961 and 62. Two men named Fred Rice and Dick Eflin. The gondola started in January of 63, right behind Vails. We missed being number one by about 3 weeks. Crested Butte went on to become the number one area in the United States for extreme skiing. Dick Eflin and Fred Rice went bankrupt. How they existed for 5 or 6 years was amazing. They started something that was probably doomed to failure. Kansas banks took it over till 1970. Then the Callaway family, and they had the area until 2004. And they sold out to Tim and Diane Muller, who owned Okemo and Sunapee out in the east. And they had the area until 2019 when Vail bought it, and Vail has it today. A lot of the names of runs at the ski area came from names of the mines. So Crested Butte, with 400,000 or so skier days today, is one of the premier ski areas in Colorado.
When I first moved here, I came solely for the mountains, but I quickly found that it's the people of this community that make it special. While we're not a mining town any longer, Crested Butte can be a rather hard place to live, but it's made possible by the incredible community that I have around me. Because of these relationships I've built, it has opened the doors for me to turn this town into a home. I came for the mountains, but stayed for the people. You don't have to be a big mountain athlete to explore your own backyard. There's so much more to learn about the places you're familiar with. You just have to dig a little deeper.